this person has a huge ego, I feel small in no time. And if there is something I don't need now, right now, especially on this important level of the program, is that I feel small. I need to be me. Okay, something serious right now. Ego. I'm going to talk about ego in this podcast episode. And especially when you know you will have to deal with somebody whose ego is mainly active, whose ego is the part of the person who's most there. There is no vulnerability. There is no maybe it feels like there is no emotions or whatever. It feels like you're talking to a piece of metal or whatever. Yeah, egos. If there is one thing to be aware of when you notice someone's ego, is that this person can be very defensive, because ego is all about protection. Ego is there to keep you where you are, and ego is also to protect you from being vulnerable, from showing your so-called weaknesses, because you cannot be weak. You got to be strong. And we all have our egos, some more evolved compared to others. I got a huge one myself. I felt attacked very easily, and now that I get attacked, if you want to call it like that, more often compared to before, I feel less and less the need to either defend or offend someone else when somebody attacks me, mostly in writing all kinds of comments mostly on YouTube, about podcasts, about the way I look, about whatever. So nothing serious, the talk, but hey, you can still get offended, right? So I've once had a session in here. This lady, she in 2 years, her manager was gonna retire, and she wanted to take over his position. And she wanted to start working on it right now. Otherwise, if she would wait in 2 years, she might be too late because there is other people or whatever. And she had this goal in mind. I want this position. But, and there it comes, the ego this person has a big, huge ego. So if you tell an ego that you want to take over the role, of course the ego gets offended, because why do you take over my role? Why do you want to take over? And where am I? And what am I doing? Because when you notice a strong ego in a person, usually a person is very identified with, for example, the job title. A job title is a fantastic way to identify yourself with and make you, or actually make your ego feel better, especially when you're in higher management positions. The ego loves positions in higher management. So just be honest to this person and say that, I'd like to take over your spot, is not the best idea. So what the ego loves, and we all recognize that. For example, if you ask somebody for his or her expertise or for help, the ego of this person instant sees it as a compliment. So you believe I'm good at something, and you want me to share my expertise because I'm so good at it that you even want to learn from me. That's fantastic material for ego. What's also fantastic for ego is it just a straightforward compliment. I really appreciate the way you're handling with this situation. So if you know you're going to talk to a big ego, or you notice while you're having a conversation you're talking to a big ego, realize this. Ego loves to be rewarded, loves to be complimented. And I had this question before, yeah, but what do I do? Do I compliment all the time? Do I lower myself because I am talking to a so-called ego? That's not how I see it. You want something from someone. And in this case, this someone has a big, huge ego. So what you want to, if you watch this video, it's like for example, martial arts, and actually no, but the sports where the focus is more on defending. So you use the power, the energy of the other person to get actually what you want to defend yourself. So in this case, you compliment this person, or you say something nice, or anyway, something that touches the ego in a positive way. And then with that energy that comes free with the other person kind of open up, shifts energy, and then it's up to you to ask for what you want. So in this example with this lady that she wanted his position, that's it. She brought it in the way that she wanted to learn from him in the next 2 years that he's still here, and not in a way, I'm not good enough, so I need to learn from you. No. Well, the guy has more experience, is older, it's whatever. It doesn't mean that he's, when someone is older, is better in the job he or she is doing. But you can use that argument and really compliment the ego. And this is what her approach was. So what was happening, he was actually handing over already work to her because he wasn't a threat. And he well knows, of course, that retirement is there, is visible, it's not too far anymore, so something needs to happen one day. And if then you can share your knowledge, your information, whatever it is, with somebody who's really appreciating, it's a lot nicer. It's a lot, the chance that this person actually does it is a lot bigger when you actually appreciate this person. It is kind that this person is sharing knowledge. Doesn't need to. So now in one of my recent coach sessions, I've got this question. Okay, I'm working on a big, huge program, and on the customer side, there is somebody new, and this person is very dominant. It has a big yeah, sorry. This person has a huge ego, and to me, I feel small in no time. And if there is something I don't need right now, especially on this important level of the program, is that I feel small. I need to be me. I need to be me. So one of the things we talked about is what happens when someone has it kind of triggers you, right? If somebody's behavior can trigger something in you that makes you feel small in no time. I had the same thing with dominant people, whether it was a manager, a customer, or a colleague, doesn't matter. When there was such a big part of when someone appears, not is, but appears so strong, so confident, the only thing I could think of was, okay, you know better. I keep my mouth shut. You know better. So I wasn't me anymore. And less than 1 minute, most probably 10 seconds after we would both leave the meeting room, I was myself and I knew exactly what I had to say. So the most important thing that you need to do in this situation is that you need to focus on your own energy. It's nearly pretend that you're alone in the meeting room. Because what happens, because something triggers inside you, you lose yourself. And in this situation, you need yourself more than ever. So pretend like you're in a bubble, in a circle, in a bubble. When you, with soap and water, you can make those nice bubble. Sometimes they're actually huge. So make it feel like you're in this bubble, and your energy stays with you. Your energy does not leave towards the other person, and the other person's energy is not able to enter you, because you're in this bubble. And once you visualize constantly, you can put actually a reminder on your notes or whatever, put a little dot somewhere that reminds you of being in the bubble. Then you're already a lot more focused on what you actually have, your circle of influence, right? There is only so many things that you can influence, and all those things for sure are only in your circle. With this bubble, you protect your circle. You protect your circle of influence. Cannot go out, and somebody else influence cannot come in. So you stay who you are and you do your thing. Now with a dominant person, it's always, if you listen to one of my previous podcasts, you should have heard maybe already several times, but you have to ask the question to yourself: what do I want? What do I want? You always need to do that. It's a have to. It's not a must do. It's a you have to. You have to. From the bottom of my heart, you have to. For yourself, not for someone else, for yourself, your vision and your goals. And in case of a dominant person, it's even more important. It's even more important because what happens with a person that triggers something inside of you? Maybe you get hurt. You use old behavior that doesn't serve you anymore. You know it doesn't serve you anymore because you have already done all of that personal development. But still, with some people, it brings it all back up, like all those years of personal development were for nothing, thrown away. So it's very important to ask yourself, to constantly keep yourself focused on the question: what do I want? What a trigger that a dominant person can cause with many of us is that we tend to copy the same loudness, we try to, or we think we have to act the same. We have to also make ourselves big to be able to enter the other person's space, to actually find an opening for a conversation instead of one way street from the other person, of course. What's important is to realize that that is exactly what a dominant person is used to. The way we as humans communicate, we often copy the person who is in front of us. So if you have a very loud person that puts his fist on the table to make things clear, we tend to copy this person's behavior, because otherwise we don't know how to get into a conversation with this person. But the opposite is actually true. Because dominant people are often so used that other people respond the same way, it's like oil on the fire. Don't know if that is actually a saying in English, but you know what happens when you put oil on the fire? There becomes there's an explosion of fire. That's exactly what's happening. But when you're soft, compassionate towards yourself, but also compared towards the other person, when you actually look the person in the eye and see the other person, there is somehow compassion, and you don't have to have compassion. Oh, but if there is one person on this planet who needs compassion, are dominant people. So this is putting your feminine characteristics and not dress up like a woman with red lipstick and high-heeled red shoes. No, in your behavior. In your behavior, soft, compassion, feel empathy for this person. And let's see what happens. Because that's exactly what a dominant person is not used to. Not at all. It's weird when people do that. And it feels very vulnerable. So those are a few things you can try if you know you're facing a dominant person. Maybe you know in advance you have a meeting with one of these people, label dominant, or maybe when it's unexpected. Of course, when it's unexpected, it's a bit more difficult, but still, if you've listened to this podcast, there is some things that probably stay in your mind, and when you meet one, you think of me with my pink glasses and tell you all these things again, whispering in your ears. Oh yeah, create my bubble. What do I want? Feel compassion towards myself and towards the person on the other end of the table. Enjoy even the meeting with a dominant person. And thanks for listening. Bye.